my teammates in the Toronto Raptors organization. We'd like to thank you guys for joining us again for another season. We want y'all to show the NBA, wow, Toronto has the best fans in the NBA. Let's go Raptors.
And with that, Kyle Lowry and the gang kicked off season 20 with a big win over the Atlanta Hawks, another Eastern Conference team that's vying for a big run this year, hopefully in the playoffs. Toronto Raptors got out early, beat them down early, but there were some concerns towards the end of the game. We'll get into that, but first off, impressions of the game. The first thing I took away from that game was, damn, Amir Johnson was on that glass, and that's going to be huge for this team moving forward, especially when they pick up Steensma as the last guy on the roster because they need rebounding. Dwayne, I'll start with you. What was the big takeaway?
Before we even get to the game itself, that moment itself, which even was cut short because there was like 20 seconds of standing ovation where Kyle can even talk.
Yes.
Never ever seen anything like that in the city for basketball, which is great way to start the season.
They're hype. Now, big takeaway though for you.
You know, everyone did what they were supposed to do. I liked Amir, I liked DeMar, I liked Kyle, I liked the bench. I'm saying everyone's there before they say it. But it looked good for a first game, man.
Dan, you were there, you were running the packs, you have all the stats and information.
Here's the thing. First of all, I don't know if you're going to get 16 and 10 from Amir for 82 games. He picks his spots. They needed it from him last night, and he provided. I don't know if you're going to get that every single night. But what I did take was that, you know, all preseason for those 3 weeks we were talking about the bigs need to step up. They're not getting rebounding. Valanciunas isn't really establishing himself in the post. And then, boom, here we go, opening night, and all of a sudden, the bigs are amazing. You know, Valanciunas, 17 points. He only took 5 shots. Got to the free throw line, made plays late in the game.
He had foul trouble early, too.
Yeah, he had the foul trouble, but he was able to manage it, which we didn't always see last year. And Amir had 4 blocks, which tells you they were doing it on the defensive end as well. So
when they wanted to.
I think you know, it wasn't a perfect night by any stretch of the imagination, but the Raptors, we saw a lot of what they're going to be able to do this year. And if I'm taking one thing away, it's those 2 bigs.
Devo, you're over there being patient.
No, I'll be real patient. Because I agree with everything they're saying right now, man. It was a great
Okay, so then you don't even have to talk.
You got to disagree.
But the one thing I will say is that when you look at that roster, top to bottom, it's really good. And it beats other teams in the Eastern Conference for sure. You got a guy like Lou Williams who comes off the bench and just is igniting you. That guy could start on a lot of teams. So I love the squad that we got right now. Without that brief flash of terribleness in the fourth quarter, defensively, it was a great game.
Yeah, we're going to talk about defensively how these Raptors are going to close games. I remember last year the third quarter was kind of an issue. This year was a kind of a lapse in the fourth quarter. But I felt myself personally that was a bit of them. You know, a lot of buzz. You were balling out of control that night. You kind of checked out a bit early. But the thing for me, and Dwayne, we green roomed the heck out of this subject earlier. But I mean, I think that second unit, NBA teams are going to have a hard time dealing with a group playing that efficiently. Grievous Vasquez is a straight baller. You talked about your man Patrick Patterson, shot a lot of threes last night, and you weren't happy with that. But just on an overall level, if you can bring in a James Johnson, a Lou Williams, a Grievous Vasquez, and a Patrick Patterson, I'm not sure that other teams in the conference have enough for like a 6-minute stretch at the end of the second quarter, a 4-minute stretch somewhere in the third quarter, to compete with that. Dwayne.
If you think about it, this could easily be the deepest team in the conference.
Easily.
We talk about Cleveland, they're great, but they're not as deep. Chicago isn't as deep. These guys are deep, and the combinations that they can play is fantastic. My only issue was defensively, the second unit, they can score. Can they stop anyone? And for a defensive team, I think that's important.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think the starters, end of game scenario when Dwayne Casey's calling numbers, he's going to want Jonas in there if he can keep himself healthy. You think that's going to be a big concern for this group?
The health is a big thing. I mean, these guys are going to play hard. You got to limit those minutes on guys like Kyle and DeMar
and that second unit comes in.
Yeah, that's where that second unit comes in. I mean, guys like Patrick Patterson and Amir, I think, are interchangeable. You know, like Patrick could start some games and have Amir come off the bench and limit those minutes as well too. So health is a big concern, but these guys can make a big run.
So fourth quarter, now we saw it against Atlanta. Okay, is that going to be an issue with this group? Because I mean, at times if you rest your starters throughout the day, they might get cold. And then the one thing it's hard to do in professional sports is turn it on. You can't just turn it on.
Okay, it's only a 1-game sample.
Exactly. Small sample.
DeRozan missed a couple of free throws.
He did a lot last year.
Okay.
I'll let you go, but
no, but they had their fourth quarters were great last year.
It was the third that really killed them.
Look, you're playing against another NBA team that is professional, that's trained. Atlanta's a very competitive team with a lot of good players.
What's that guy's name?
Kyle Korver.
Mike Scott.
Mike Scott.
Mike Scott at the University of Virginia. He could not miss last night. Kyle Korver could not miss last night. Horford was back in there. He wanted to, they wanted to see what they got from him after him missing 50-some games last year. So, the Raptors outplayed them for 3 quarters. Yeah, Atlanta had a better fourth quarter. I doubt you're going to see in Orlando and Miami this weekend the Raptors having soft fourth quarters.
We have to look at the bar, though. Spurs at the bar.
I know you guys want to talk Raptors basketball, but there's some more stuff to talk about. Hey, listen, there's more to come on the Hangout. We got to talk about Russell Westbrook and the Oklahoma City Thunder playing without KD. We got to talk about Twitter and Buzz City. At some point, we will talk about the Hornets. Hangouts!